Okay, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I started to write kids' books. When in 2014, I wrote a book called Dying to Know, Is There Life After Death? Yes, I explored the afterlife. I wanted to know whether my consciousness would survive my physical death. So I ran a whole bunch of experiments in this book. I went behind the scenes at a crematorium. I got to see what happens at the crematorium. I got to speak to everyone and get their insights. I went on a ghost hunt, scared the bejesus out of myself. I spoke to several mediums and had readings by mediums to see what they would say and if I can compare them, to see if they were right or wrong or whatever. I had out-of-body experiences. I learned to project myself out of my body and went to the Monroe Institute and had some amazing situations there. I had a past life regression, and I also learned to talk to dead people myself. I know. So what happened though, when I was creating that book, compiling it, running all the experiments, the first one I had was doing the past life regression. Now that was interesting because I had I wasn't Cleopatra or anyone like that, or an American Indian. I was just some randoms. But there were some emotions that came up that I was not expecting, absolute big emotions, and I didn't understand where they were coming from because I'm just looking at these images in this mind's eye. I could still hear the lawnmower outside that was mowing the lawn where I was having the past life regression, but I was just in tears. These big emotions were coming up. Anyway, around about a month or two after that, I felt slightly different. Something in me had shifted. I had a creative release, and I started drawing stick figures on the computer, and just drawing silly little stick figures with little quotes and stuff, little wisdom things like that. And I ended up starting a Facebook page, starting a blog, and I ended up getting 7,500 people on Facebook. I put them together, cut them out, printed them off, cut them out, and thought I'm just going to get them into a book. And so sent them off to Simon & Schuster and all that, and Fremantle Press, and got rejected by the first 4 publishers. And the 5th publisher came back and said, "We love your idea. We want to publish a series of those books." I went, "Oh, okay." So these were books for adults. So these were illustrated books for adults. And the first one was called Frog in the Well. The second one was called Follow Your Heart. And then I told them about this book, about the afterlife stuff that I was writing. And they went, "Okay, this is fantastic. I love this idea." So then that came out. So that's Dying to Know that came out. And then after that came out, they said, "Look, we're getting into the kids' book market. We really love you to write a kids' book." And I'm going, "Kids' book? I don't have kids. I don't do anything with kids. No." And then suddenly it dawned on me, because I had a fairly sort of traumatic upbringing. Why don't I write the book, the kids' book, for my 8-year-old self? Bringing in all the stuff I learned about the afterlife, about love, about kindness, about generosity, about self-acceptance. Why don't I write that for my 8-year-old self to help heal him? And that's what I did. And that's where Being You Was Enough came in. So that book changed my life after Dying to Know came out. It changed my life first. And then I've written 5 kids' books since. And I've become a kids author, and I've gone deep into the kids' mental health field. And because I've just looked at all the stuff from the afterlife perspective, from the bigger perspective, not from, how many friends have I got and all that sort of stuff. No, from the big stuff that we all need to be thinking about. And I put that into the kids' books, emotional regulation. How can we work with our emotions? How can we understand them and make friends with them so we're not dictated by them? And how are our thoughts? How can we change our thoughts to be more positive as opposed to negative, and then we spiral down into depression? Things like that. And things like how can we use gratitude to help self-regulate as well? And kindness and empathy, creativity, using your imagination. All these things are so crucial to being a good, all well-rounded human being. Okay, because this is what's been told to me from all my afterlife investigations and all my research that I've done. So, and that's what I know they work. They work. They work for me, they work for other kids that I've seen, and they work for adults as well. And so it's like, but what happened was this is where the clincher comes in. Because I'm in the kids' book market and the kids thing, I tour primary schools everywhere and I talk to kids about this, is that I cut off where I discovered it from. I cut off talking about the afterlife because I thought if I talk about the afterlife and say, by exploring the afterlife, exploring consciousness and stuff like that, that's where I learned about kindness. That's where I learned about empathy, creativity, all this sort of stuff. Emotional regulation was so important for kids. Teachers and all that, and they're just going to go, well, this is a bit weird, isn't it? We're not going to hire Josh. So I cut all that off and I just talked about the kids stuff. But now I feel more confident to bring it back, to talk about the holistic thing, because what I do talk about is backed up by psychologists, by teachers, by child mental health professionals are going, this is what we need to be teaching kids. And this is the stuff that I discovered from exploring the afterlife. And that is something that's absolutely fascinating. And I'm going to get back into that more because I want more adults to come into this, to be able to regulate their emotions, monitor what are they thinking, what are they talking to themselves about, is it helpful, is it unhelpful, bringing kindness and empathy back into the fashion as opposed to like being on social media and attacking everyone. That destroys life, it destroys people, and I don't want to see that. I really don't. It's an opportunity now for us to change. And so it's about me being more comfortable talking about that as a whole concept, as a whole thing, as a thing that's driven by love, that's been driven by nature, it's been driven by weirdness. Like we get told, society says, you're born, you got to go to school, you got to get an education, you got to go get married, you got to go get a job you hate, you got to go get a caravan, you got to go to retire, and then you got to travel around Australia, and then you die. No, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. Okay? The world is so much more than that. And if we are driven by love, curiosity, adventure, sense of excitement, sense of sharing, sense of communication, sense of connection, we're going to have a much, much more interesting life than what society says we should. Okay? And that's what I want to bring in. I want to bring in how we live our lives is so important. For me, I'm living my life to the best of its ability. I live a quiet life. I live on 7.5 acres. I get to watch the sun come up every morning. I get to watch the sun go down with a glass of wine and some good food and my husband. And we live a simple, simple life. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. And that is one of the key things, is that with simplicity comes understanding and becomes allowing ourselves to be, okay, this is how I think, this is how I feel, this is what's going on, this is why I'm doing this. And then when you can bring that sort of level of understanding about yourself and what's going on inside you, you can then be more okay with who you are, then be more okay with what's happening outside, what's happening around you in the world around us. And that's so important. And it's also being led by curiosity. What is your curiosity saying? What are you curious about? Instead of going, this is what I should be doing. I should be doing this. No, what interests you? What are you curious about? If you ever have followed your curiosity at any point, you know it's going to take you into some wild places. So keep doing that more. Follow your curiosity. Where is things going to take you? And what if you said yes to more things? Yes to more opportunities. Yes to more weirdness. Yes to talking to flowers about how you feel. Yes to spending more time in nature. Yes to taking more bushwalks. Yes to going on ocean adventures. Yes to just going on adventures, as opposed to getting stuck in this small-minded frame of life that we all get stuck into. Go to work, come home, watch TV, Dancing with the Stars, and have our brains rot, and then go and do it all again. No. Life is bigger than that. Life is way more adventurous than that. And I know that because I'm living that now. Okay? Sorry, I'm going to shut up. Because I want you to pick up your curiosity and go, where am I going to go? What's going to happen? Let's go. You won't regret it one bit.